What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. In particular, welcome to PCP Movie Night. That's the show where we gather every Monday night. We have a movie of the week. We all watch it. We get together. We discuss it. And tonight's going to be a fun one. We're talking about 2002's Kung Pow, Enter the Fist, written and directed by Steve Oedekerk. Very, very excited to chat with this movie. This is the dumbest movie I've ever seen, and it's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen, and it almost annoys me how stupidly funny this movie is every time I've seen it. And speaking of stupid funny, we got Jelani in the house. What is up, my man?
Yeah, dog. Station.
Hell yeah.
It's
And joining us tonight for the very first time, one of my absolute best friends. You know, we're all of y'all are my best friends, but Clayton is a good homie of mine who introduced me to this movie. So let's welcome everybody, the one and the only number one, Clayton. What is up?
Station, everybody. It's so nice to be here. I've been waiting for so long to do this. I am just ready to go.
That's a nice Blu-ray and book setup and action figures you got behind you, by the way, Clayton.
Yeah, I had to borrow it.
Speaking of borrowing cool stuff, it's the one and the only Fable. What is up, my man?
Station.
Hell yeah. Fable is brought to us today, by the way, by Full Frame Pan and Scan. So we'll see what happens there, right? Speaking of full frame, the only way this dude watches the movies in black and white and full frame, it's Steph, it's Link, the missing Link. What is up?
Your mic.
Doing the bit. Yeah, you're doing the bit.
Oh, I think he's doing that on purpose. Speaking
I didn't want to risk it, but yeah, I was doing the bit.
Speaking of doing the bit, this dude was doing the supreme bit. I never saw anybody who thought they were in the studio but actually wasn't. But it's Brooks. What is up, my man?
So, got 6 people for this movie, but it can only get 3 for a serious man.
I know, right? Because nobody else is serious, right?
Serious man.
Don't worry, we're not going to bring up the fact that Steph just forgot about it last week, but it's okay. So, yeah, we got 6 people, and like over half of us are having issues. So it's gonna be a fun stream tonight. I'll tell you what, we're gonna be looking. It's gonna actually mimic the movie. It's gonna seem like it's badly dubbed. It's gonna be seeming like it's poorly timed or something like that, right? All right. So I first watched this movie probably like 6 months ago or something. I was over at my homie Clayton's house, and we were all hanging out. We were having some fun. And he was like, yo, Kung Pow is like my favorite movie ever. I was like, I've never seen it. We sat down. We all watched it. We had so much fun. I revisited it a few days ago in preparation for the stream alone. sober, still funny. Still finding myself cracking up at the dumb shit in this movie. It is so much fun. So if you're not familiar, this is a movie that is taking a 70s Hong Kong kung fu film, right? And it's like dubbing over that and putting footage in that and overlapping and doing all kinds of digital effects and putting this dude in the movie. He did like all the voices. Y'all all know what this movie is, because this movie is ridiculous and it's generated a lot of excitement here for the PCP Movie Night crew and the PCP Army out there watching us. This is doing what Daniel Warren Johnson is doing right now with Transformers. It's genuating excitement in the tired ass show that we do here every Monday night, to the point where only 3 of us showed up for a serious man. One of the greatest films of all time, but it's all right. It's all but I love this movie. It is ridiculous. And I cannot wait until we start diving into what the themes are about this movie, but there's a lot to get through, including overall thoughts. So Jelani, why don't you tell us, what do you think about Kung Pow Enter the Fist overall?
That's what I feel about it. This movie, I saw it in the theater in 2002. I love this movie. This is one of I've watched this multiple times. This is one of those films that I was like, man, like, it's so dumb. It's so incredibly dumb. It makes no sense. But like, you go with it. It's got a decent story. And you're like, I'm following how goofy this is. And it's so, I don't know how to explain it. It's just so good to the point where it's one of those, it's so bad it's good, but it's so bad it's good on purpose. Like, it is purposefully bad. It's so awesome. The CG is terrible. The like when they put his face, Steve Oedekerk's face, into things, out of place. It's absolutely out of place, and it feels intentional. That cow is absolutely insane. That entire cow fight. I'm just sitting there in the theater. I was like, what am I watching? But it's so good, and you can't stop laughing. It's one of these movies where you just continuously laugh throughout. I wish he'd made a sequel to it. I'm pretty sure he couldn't do that because most of the characters wouldn't have been in the next film. But man, especially Betty. Oh man, there's so many good characters. There's so many good voices that are dubbed over. The instructor, the master, Ling. God dang it. There's just so many good things about this movie that I still love. I probably watched this movie like 10 times. I'm pretty sure. I had it on VHS for the longest time. I can't find my VHS right now. But I own it. It was one of those things where it's just, I must have it. And now that I've seen it again, I got to get it on DVD or Blu-ray. If it's on Blu-ray, I'm going to definitely get it.
It's out there. It's available.
Yes, that's why I'm pretty sure, because it's awesome. And I hate there's no sequel. I really do.
I did want to see what is it? Tongue of Fury, right?
Tongue of Fury is Kung Pow 2, but he never made it because
apparently the sequels to this are like Thumb Wars and Bat Thumb and shit like that. Probably. Yeah. So you like the film, man, right?
I love it.
All right, Clayton, you introduced me to this movie. I was aware of it, but it always seemed like one that I don't know. I wasn't really 100% into watching it, but man, watching it with you was an absolute blast. What do you think about this movie overall, my man?
This is one of those movies that when you sit down and watch it, for me personally, was like, this is going to define so much of what I do in the future that you have that tangibility there, that feeling of like, oh yeah, this is about to change some stuff. And for me personally, I couldn't have been more on the money. Like, this movie has defined artistic works that I've done. As some of you guys may know, I'm a professional wrestler. Some of my promos, whenever I record them, are directly based off of the idea of not matching the words up with what the mouth is doing. So that's how I just kind of like came into this character a little bit. And I have Kung Pow to thank for that, because it was like, oh yeah, that's natural. That makes sense. You know, why wouldn't I do that? So this movie, from the first time I saw it, I remember laughing so hysterically throughout the entire thing that I could not begin to catch my breath. It was like an hour and 20 minutes long of just nothing but a giggle fest. And me and my brother still like quote it to this day. It is literally something I'll just walk into a room and be like, you banana na na Neo. Like someone gets hurt and I'm like, someone get the Neosporin, you know, like it's my favorite thing. Like, you know, and being a wrestler,
Stop
I get the
doing that.
opportunity
I
to
have
say
an
it all the
open
time.
wound.
Yeah. Oh, it feels good. This works for both of us. You know? His wound didn't close properly. But yeah, at the end of the day, man, all I can say about this movie is that it's been the top of my list for pretty much since I've watched it. It's been that movie for me, and it's like comfort food that I want to share with everybody, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you so much for sharing this movie with me. It's the reason why we're here tonight
Oh,
doing this
buddy.
movie. Everybody get excited when the PCP movie night list came up. This was one of the first ones to fill up. Everybody was wanting to be a part of this, and so that's why we've got the all-stars here tonight. Speaking of the all-stars, Fable, why don't you pan and scan your way through telling us what you think about this movie overall?
Oh man, this movie's really fun, man. It's a real ridiculous, absurd, just ridiculous movie that you watch and you just like, you can't believe how stupid it is, but it just makes you laugh or it just makes you chuckle every other thing. You know, sometimes when it gets a little dry, it just does something else that's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like right from the start, like when they pick up the baby, and she's like, "Oh, how cute! Okay," and she throws the baby down the thing.
Kicks that motherfucker right back down.
What the fuck? So the baby is rolling down the freaking rock hill, and he's going, making all these noises and stuff. You know, right from there, you know what it's all about. Sometimes these movies, like these kind of movies, get a little, like the joke runs out after a while. You get a little tired of it. But not really in this one. This one, it carried me through to the end. So yeah, no, I enjoyed this movie when I saw it the first time and even now.
You know, obviously, I got to thank Clayton for introducing me to this movie, making me watch it, right? But I also got to really thank Bullseye Bob, right? Because he sent me on this like path of kung fu movies, right? Because I didn't watch a lot of martial arts movies. I didn't watch a lot of Hong Kong cinema. And he sent me on that path. Remember when I was doing them on Rockin' Robbie Live?
Mhm.
And so I watched all of these amazing like Shaw Brothers films and like Gordon Liu and like this amazing stuff like Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, Jet Li, like all these movies I had never seen before. It was all perfect setup for this. If I would have watched this movie without knowing your fucking camera doing that shit, Fable, that's so cracking me up. Like, what's it trying to follow? Like, what's it trying to do?
I don't know.
Say no to AI. So anyway, that really set me up perfectly for this, because if I didn't have that knowledge of kung fu movies, I would not have enjoyed it as much as I did. What about you, Link? What are you thinking about this movie?
Bear with me, guys. I'm struggling over here. I love this movie. I saw this for the first time when I was 15, the summer of 2003. And this is a movie I watch I'm going to try to speak slower. Every couple of years. But this is a movie that holds up like this. Yeah, to your point, Jelaine, I actually think like this movie actually looks really good considering when it came out and its budget, you know, $10 million in 2002 with like it's a very ambitious ambitious film, especially for its time. And I think it's aged quite well, to be honest. This is a movie, you know, like Clay was saying earlier, this is every time you think it's gonna get like slow or like stagnant or something, they throw out some. This is what do you always say, Robbie? Dumb moronic splendor, you know, at its finest. You know, it's dumb, but it works. Intelligent dumb. Hopefully you guys heard that.
Hell yeah, we totally heard that. 100%. I agree with you. And speaking of intelligent dumb, Brooks, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, this was one like I remember when it came out, and I remember watching it and loving it. But I was thinking, like, you know, I hadn't watched it in like over 20 years, you know. So I was like, am I still going to find it as funny as I did back then? And I was surprised how much I love this movie. Like, it was so funny. Like, I mean, it's just like, you just got to respect that this dude, like, basically, like, inserts himself into this movie. It feels like something like we would have wanted to do back in the day, where we could like just insert ourselves into some like random movie and like redub it and make it like our own thing. And like, you know, it's like absurdist kind of comedies like this they weren't common, but you know, they would pop up occasionally back in the day. And I think the genre kind of died when the scary movie and the Seltzer Burger guys kind of started making all these like, you know, cheap, shitty, absurdist comedy parody, like satire things. But like this movie predates that, so you know, it kind of it still feels fresh, you know, even after all these years.
Yeah, and it's got some. Most of the performances are just Steve Oedekerk, right? Yeah. But it's got some great characters in it too, right? And I was really shocked to find out that he did all of the voices pretty much in this movie, and that he didn't intend to do all of the voices, but they was so good. Everybody was like, we don't need to hire voice actors, bro. You got this. Woo, you know, and all that stupid shit. Like, he's doing all that. It reminds me of the Watchmen motion comic. I don't know if anybody ever watched that, right? But the dude who did the voice of Space Ghost on Space Ghost Coast to Coast, he does all the voices. Male, female, doesn't matter. He does all the voices. And it kind of reminds me of that just a little bit as far as the voice acting goes. But there's some great characters, little ones that stand out because of certain jokes, or of course, big ones that carry the entire movie. Jelani, what's a performance you want to highlight, my friend?
There are only two good characters in this movie. Everybody else is all right. There are only two. I'm only picking one of the two. If you pick the second one, it's all good. The first one I'm picking is Betty. I must have Betty. Master Payne, from the guy's look, like his hair, the way it's like bald, and then all of a sudden it bops into a mullet.
Motherfucker's got a six head, bruh.
It's awesome. Whatever that thing is going on, and I love like his whole form, like that whole continuous shot where they're just like the guys hitting him with the stick in the nuts, like over and over, just repeatedly. They just go back and just. And he's just standing there like it's okay, and they're hitting him with sticks, and he's like, cow. He's got some of the best lines. He's so clean. I love that. Yeah, man. When I first saw this movie, I would like imitate him and the other character so many times, and it's just he's one of the best villains. I hate he dies, and I hate that he's not in a sequel. If they had made if they could have found something else with him in it, that guy. And I don't like the guy that replaces him at the beginning when he's fighting the baby. He doesn't look right. He just doesn't look right. He doesn't.
Dude, for a second, I thought that was like Shredder's fucking #1 henchman from the TMNT movie.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
But isn't that two separate guys?
Yeah, the when he's fighting the baby, that's the updated version. Like you can tell when they
put the shoe polish mustache on him.
Yes, he's a mess. But he's quite possibly my favorite character in this movie. He's too badass.
What cracks me up more than the Betty thing is when he shows up and he's got a name tag on now.
Yeah, and it says Betty. You
In
are
2002, that was not cheap to do.
not at all. You can tell. It's so obvious. But yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah,
he's
he's great, man.
yeah.
You have a red shirt now.
But isn't Betty a girl's name?
I love it. What about you, Clayton? What's a character you want to highlight?
I would like to highlight Wimplo. Wimplo, they trained him wrong as a joke, right?
Yeah.
And so he thinks losing is winning, which is like one of the funniest concepts for a martial artist. He's like, he gets up, he immediately starts squeaking his shoes. You know, like
Yeah,
he's
I love
like
that
one of those
dude.
little kids in the mall.
Yeah.
Didn't that dude like one point be like those damn shoes? Or some shit?
If I hear one more freaking squeak. You know, I quote his lines like all the time. Like I'll be like, my finger points. Or
Yeah, that was my favorite line. Finger point.
I go pee standing up. And like sometimes I'll just walk in, I'll just walk around and like just, oh, there's one of my friends. And in order to like say hi to them, I'll just be like, I'm a man too, you know, hit them with the I go pee standing up phrase, you know, because like I just can't help it. Like it's just ingrained in my DNA. I have to like, you know what I'm talking about, right? You know,
Yeah.
but he by far is like one of the funniest. Like whenever he dies and they make the full circle, right? And they're like, but if everyone else is still alive, surely Wimplo, and he's like just still dead, face down, and like you hear the flies. Like, oh my god, dude! Like, just rolling over laughing.
Yeah, that's super, super fun. What about you, Fable? What's a performance you want to highlight, or a character, I should say?
Sorry for the background noise, guys. It's 80 degrees in New York, so it's crazy out here right now. But no, my favorite. Well, that guy was one of my favorites. But the girl, I don't know her name. I'm sorry.
You talking about Ling?
Yeah, Wheel girl.
Yeah, Ling.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the funniest sounds in the entire movie. Like when she does that, you know, every time she does it, it's hilarious. Especially when she's doing it with the master pain, and he's like, wah! She's like,
Yeah.
he's like, wah!
It's like, why is he doing that? And like,
I love this movie.
My favorite gag with her is the nude gag where she keeps flashing him. I mean, that shit makes me chuckling every time she did it. Especially in the beginning when he was like, "This is my daughter" or something. It was like, she's really shy, and she's like,
His reactions, man, are like great, dude. Surprise to disappointment, back to surprise.
She takes off the robe and she's like, "No, I don't want to be a hoe" or something like that.
I don't want you to think I'm a slut.
She does this through the whole movie. She just flashes him through the whole time film. So. And I like the way because you could tell that that's old footage. That actress, she's from back in the days. She's actually a famous, like, you know what I mean, kung fu actress. But
yeah, I recognized her from some stuff.
But the way they insert the flashing scenes, it just like cuts in the way it cuts in. I don't know. It's just something hilarious about that. So yeah, I'll highlight her.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a real good one. What about you, Steph? What are you thinking?
Jelani, the best Black Betty scene was lighter. But I will say my favorite character in the movie was the boombox dude, bro. Anytime the boombox dude came on scene and he just jamming shit, bro.
I like big
small impactful, you know?
It's got to be a morning after.
I gotta be a very old but very memorable. I gotta go with boombox guy.
That's a really, really great pick, man. It really pumps up some of the music in there. That's Nasty Ness is the boombox henchman there. What about you, Brooks? What's a character you want to highlight?
I like this character. Like it's a completely pointless character. It's one of those, like, you know, but the lady with the one boob,
Uniboob.
Yeah.
It's like there's no. It's
Whoa.
just another absurd thing that's just thrown in this movie. It's just like this woman and like she just got the joke is she's got one boob and like it's like that's it. And like she sets up like she's like she's also kind of like sequel baiting the movie too.
Yeah.
You'll find out in the next movie in the sequel, what the deal is with me. And like it's just so ridiculous. Like I'm like just that joke, just the one boob joke. I'm like, what? Like this movie does that a lot though. It's like it's like why?
It's like
But,
takes a joke and just run it the fuck into the ground, dude. Like
Yes.
that's one of my favorite bits.
Yes.
I love when she shows up and she like does this whole spiel and he's just like, I'm sorry, what did you say? He's just like, he just can't get away
Like, what
from
a
it.
weird idea too. Like just is a woman with one boob.
They were like, oh, Total Recall, 3 boobs, eh? Well, I guess she's a Cyclops in a way. So yeah, those are good ones. I'm going to go with, is it Master Tang?
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
Cracks me up, man. Cracks me up so much. Like from the bit where like apparently I guess in the original movie he's like sickly and he's coughing a lot and they have that fucking moth go up into his fucking mouth and they do it twice and he goes, what are the odds of that happening or some shit?
So, Robbie, if I could interject for a second, actually, the actor who played Master Tang was sick during the filming of Tiger and Crane Fists. So that was an actual real cough, and he died shortly after that movie was made.
Damn, that's really morbid now.
Oh, I'm sorry, bud. But he also
Damn.
talked about that
Yeah,
part where
and they're making fun of it, dude. They're making fun.
dude
This movie, I'm outraged. This movie is bullshit, man. Making fun of this poor man's death. I'm kidding. Go ahead, Clayton. I'm
no,
sorry.
I mean, it was. I need to have put a moth in my mouth. Do whatever you want. Ask if I can see a Radio Shack. Whatever you want, man.
I loved him though, especially the death scene, right? Right. He
Yeah.
just came back, and then it's like, I hope y'all are aware of the post credits where
Right.
he's still there dying, and then it fades to black, and he's like, just because the screen went black doesn't mean I'm not still here. Please help me. Somebody really help me. I'm fucking dying.
Just because I go doesn't mean I'm dead.
Cracks me the fuck up, dude. I love it, man. I love it. And a special shout out to the dog as well.
Yeah.
But now it's time to talk about the style and the structure. Well, the style is it's an old kung fu movie that's basically dubbed over and like somebody's like you're like Brooke said, it's like a bunch of friends getting together and roasting a movie and putting themselves in it, right? And figuring out how to do that. And that has to be incredibly difficult. Like I was watching this thing where Steve Oedekerk was talking about kind of putting together the movie. By the way, that dude's jacked, right?
Yes.
Like I bet this dude was like, I'm got to get in the shape of my life to do this fucking one. And he's a brilliant comedic director. Did Ace Ventura, Bruce Almighty, Patch Adams. He's got a lot of credits to his name, but he's known as the Kung Fu Panda. He's known as the Kung Pow, Enter the Fist guy, and the Thumb guy, right? Because he did all those thumb fucking movies.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time we watched it, like the tongue thing happens, and I was like, that looks like the thumb things. And I think Clayton was like, he did the fucking thumb movies. I was like, no way. But it's got to be very hard to kind of piece this together, right? And he even said that there were moments where I just didn't know what the fuck to do. So that's why she goes, wee and all that kind of shit, right? Throughout the movie, I'm like, is this a Miss Piggy thing? Like, is he doing like a Mrs. Piggy thing with it or whatnot? And I think for, it's the style is it's a dubbed movie, and knowing like I love Italian cinema, I love Hong Kong cinema now, and this weird dubbing that we get as a part of it, and the way that's mimicked to comedic effect works so well. And one of the best things about the movie is it's an hour and 20 minutes. He knows this movie's already probably too long, so we got to get to a certain amount so it's a real feature movie, but he doesn't overstay the welcome. I feel like if they did this shit today, if they Judd Apatow this shit 2.5 hours long with some kind of dramatic climax, like it would be dumb as shit. But it's
CGI dragon at the end,
right? It stays in instead of the CGI fucking cow, whatever. But like I mean, that's the one thing. That's the thing about the movie that's dated is the cow scene, right? Because everybody was parodying the fucking bullet time back in the day, right? And it's the one thing where I'm like,
100%.
the cow fight, who cares, right? But it is funny when he wipes the fucking milk mustache away. He shows him he's got the milk mustache. But I think for style and structure, for what it is, it's actually, I don't remember who it was, but somebody mentioned this was kind of an ambitious film. And it actually kind of is, because it could have easily been Mystery Science Theater 3000, but it goes a little bit beyond that. And it actually makes one of the funniest dumbass movies I've ever seen. Speaking of funny dumbasses in my life, Jelani, what do you think about the style and structure of this film?
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's structured perfectly. Like, he dubbed the movie. He basically dubbed the movie, put himself in it, did all the voices, put some CG in it, made a brilliant film. Like I said before, it is so bad it's good. Like, it's just, oh man, it takes you through a poorly dubbed Chinese kung fu movie, and it nails it. It's nailing it, like, right and left. We were talking about it back then, how good this movie was, like how just funny it was, and just how much it made of an effect it made. The style is fantastic. You're taking something and revitalizing it. Like, he should have made more movies like this, and it would have blown him up for different reasons. I think he did all right. I know I watched it more than once, but I watched
the box office was 17 million.
Okay, it was all right. It did okay.
That's
not terrible.
It's pretty bad compared to like what they were wanting, I'm sure.
The marketing, with the marketing and stuff is probably.
But I remember the marketing was strong because it was all over the place. But I just don't think like I said, you got to kind of know what you're getting into with this movie, right? Yeah. We worked at the movie theater, Jelani, and we know that there's like elderly couples that go to the movie theater every week and just watch whatever the new movie is. Yep. I bet they were fucking confused as shit, dude. Like those old people during Kill Bill Volume 1 when we went and watched it, we're all laughing and they're looking at us like, disgusting.
Yeah. Such violence. But yeah, it's one of these movies. The structure of it is perfect. It's made for us, for people who enjoy films. I think it's just one of those things that if you're a film snob like we've been for a while, you'd really enjoy this. It's for layman people too, because it's good to laugh at. It's great funny, but you can pick this thing apart and be like, oh, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this work, but it does. Like, it's so many things that shouldn't work that appear, and you're just like, oh, okay, I accept it. I understand that.
This is a movie that makes a lot of dumb decisions, but it works.
It works.
The opposite of this is Cats from 2019.
Yeah, which is hot trash. I can still die in fire.
What about you, Clayton? What do you think about the style and structure of Kung Pow?
Man, I have such a respect for what they've done with style. In order to create that old style, the movie and upconvert them, but then take their footage, which was filmed on, I think it was like actual film. It was like right before like the digital film boom became a big thing, and they had to take it and then degrade that footage to make it look like the 1970s footage that they had to restore. So all in all, like with all the digital like restorations and effects and stuff that they had to use, like they said that it was something to the effect of like 2100, which is like more than like one of the Star Wars movies I know for sure. So they actually said that they popped a champagne cork whenever they reached over Star Wars levels. So I think that is just a work in and of itself for 2002. Yeah. You know, I think that you're super right about like the cow fight is something that could have probably have been left out. Everyone was doing the Matrix at the time. I think that the PS2 graphics in some cases kind of play to the movie's credit, like Mushu Fasa. You know,
Oh my
this
God.
is CNN.
I should have listed
You know,
him
like-
as my favorite character.
Dude, I love Mushu Fasa. Like, sometimes whenever I leave a room, I'm just like, this is CNN. They're like, no, we work for ABC.
Yes. CNN.
So,
That was
but that the structure of the movie, I think it's phenomenal with what they had already. For him to sit down and cut up this old movie and make it into what it became, because like in the original movie, they never even talked about the reason why Betty or whoever the original guy was, not Betty, I'm sure, had the metal triangles on his chest. There was just no reason given. It just happened and everyone was expected to accept it. There was a very thin line of structure to that movie. And for him to take that and then string along this fantastical tale is just something else. Yeah, I guess the last thing I have to say is this is kind of for Jelani. I'm a great magician.
Delaney all of a sudden wearing a red shirt. He's just
red clothes.
Oh my God.
What about you, Fable? What do you think about the style and structure?
I think it's impressive because I gotta be honest with you. I don't know if I was high or something, but I didn't remember that he tried to insert himself into an actual kung fu movie. I remembered it as being a movie. So to its credit, you know, I got it now that, oh, this is an actual kung fu movie that he's inserting himself into. But then, like Steph said, he hit the nail on the head when he said it's ambitious. That's very difficult to do, to try to achieve what he did. Like Clayton was saying, this is, you know, Shaw Brothers or any of those kung fu movies, they're not filmed particularly well. That film stock is terrible. So for him to try to do that, it's amazing. And you can tell where he couldn't do that. That's where he inserts the girl with the one boob or the cow fight or things that, you know what I mean, that can't be done with the footage.
Or
So,
the French aliens, because I don't think the French aliens and the pyramids are in the original film, but I could be wrong on that.
Evil Council.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's impressive. It's impressive for that time, and I love the structure of a good old kung fu movie. So yeah, this follows that. Definitely.
Yeah, and when I first watched it a few months ago, I did not realize that so much of it was just footage from the old movie. Like I was kind of fooled by it too. Right. Yeah. And I was high. So that's probably why. What about you, Link? What do you think about the style and structure? Yeah, Link, you.
Sorry, guys. I don't know. It was my turn? Okay. I'm sorry. I'm struggling right now. Really struggle bus. But I think the style and the structure are nothing short of brilliant. It's like any classic kung fu. You know, most kung fu movies were about revenge tales. You know, this is a revenge tale essentially. He's trying to get revenge on the people fucking up his family at the beginning. Style is phenomenal. I think everything it set out to do, I think it executed. I think, you know, when stuff comes off as corny and bad, it's intending to be that way. And, you know, this is a Shaun of the Dead. I think it deserves to be up there with like Shaun of the Dead in terms of like, it's a great homage of kung fu, the genre, but making fun of the tropes that kung fu films usually hold. And it came out 2 years before Shaun of the Dead. So, you know, if anything, I wouldn't be surprised if Shaun of the Dead was inspired by this film here. But I think it's great, you know, and the hour and 20 minutes, that's perfect timing. It's probably too long than this movie deserves to be, but it works with it. Beautiful.
They can't make movies like this anymore because it would just be a TikTok video, right? It wouldn't be a feature, you know, millions.
You know what I was thinking? That's good that Steph said that. I was thinking Kung Fu Hustle and the other one, soccer.
You need to
Shaolin
do
Soccer.
Soccer.
Shaolin
Yeah, yeah.
Who's that? Stephen Cho? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
I
dude should have been Dragon Ball Z.
I
They should have made
love-
Dragon Ball Z.
Love Kung Fu
Yeah.
Hustle. Like
Yes.
I love Kung
Yeah.
Fu Hustle. Isn't he finally doing a sequel to that one?
Yeah.
I think
so.
they're finally doing the sequel to that
Yeah.
one. That's a really good one. I'm also glad that you brought up Shaun of the Dead, which made me think of this. So we all know the infamous story. George A. Romero and his people didn't know how to copyright a movie or something. So there wasn't no copyright or anything on Night of the Living Dead. So they were able to do that dubbed version of it. We all remember that, I'm sure, from our VHS days, but it was called like Night of the Dawn of the Day of the blah, blah, blah. Like it was
Yes.
this long ass title.
We did
I
audio
hate-
for it.
I hate that movie, right? Like that movie is like trying too hard to be funny, this and that. This movie like soars where that one fucking just declines, right? So it's not easy to do this kind of a thing, right? And that movie is an example of why. What about you, Brooks? What are you thinking about style and structure?
Well, I mean, it's certainly it has its own interesting style because in its essence, it is very much a hero's journey kind of tale, but like everything's absurd and weird, and like but I love the way the sense of humor of this movie. It feels very like like he's coming from a place of love, like this guy actually like is a fan of these kind of like kung fu movies. And when you do a spoof like this, like sometimes like you can feel like that a filmmaker is just taking a piss and they don't really care about it. They're just like just shitting on like the typical like drawbacks to these kind of movies. But it feels like this guy really does like enjoy the genre. And like there's another guy back there who used to do this with like a lot of was it Pierre Kirby or something like that? Like that was a thing I remember from back in the day of like of certain filmmakers would just take one of these like old kung fu or ninja movies, insert like a white dude into them in there, and kind of like make a new movie out of that.
Oh,
And like
I know what you're talking about.
yeah, but normally they
It was
just
like
did
an
it in a serious way, like I think it works better as a comedy. It's more the humor is like, and I love like a lot of the absurd humor, like the dude who gets like the middle of his body blown out.
Yeah.
That giant like Looney Tunes
Oh,
hold, and he
man.
takes it and puts on a chain and uses it as a fucking weapon. I was like, that's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
That scene's
Like,
great too.
that's
It's
like
like,
a-
how's that even possible?
Yeah.
Aren't there like organs and bones and shit? Like it shouldn't even be possible. You can see right
Yeah.
through them.
Yeah, this movie is like it's very much Looney Tunes logic. And,
Yes.
Yes.
I mean,
All right.
I love the
so-
baby scene too. Like I think the bad CGI in this movie kind of plays to its strength in a way, and like
Yeah.
that it is kind of parodying this like these old school movies that have these like kind of outdated effects. So it kind of works to its favor in a way in this one.
So let's talk about the music. The music in the film is done by Robert Folk. And believe it or not, you actually have seen lots of movies that Robert Folk has done the score for, including Booty Call, including Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, which makes sense, including In the Army Now, Loaded Weapon 1, Beastmaster 2, Toy Soldiers, which seems very dramatic for him. And y'all ready for this? This motherfucker did all of the Police Academy movies.
Of course he did.
So, like,
Whoa.
we've seen all of those recently.
Little bit.
And they had a really great theme. The music's fine. It's playing with the Hong Kong cinema kind of vibe. You get that stuff, but you also get very much early 2000s movie music. And it's almost like it's a parody of the music of the day. In fact, earlier when Clayton popped in, I was listening to the soundtrack and one of these tracks came on. I was like, this sounds just like that track from all those early DVDs that was like, you wouldn't steal a car, would you? It's like it's gone in 60 seconds or some shit all of a sudden, right? Like, so it's definitely, I think it knows that it's trying to do like the Hong Kong Kung Fu movie thing, but at the same time, it's also parodying movie music for its time. And he also did Bachelor Party. Like, this dude has got some cred as a composer, and especially in comedic films. I mean, he made it through all the Police Academy movies, y'all, all the way through Mission to Moscow. That is a fucking feat. What do you think about the music in this film, Jelani?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fairly decent for what it is. It's the soundtrack I enjoy. Anytime the boombox guy comes on, is pretty much it. And when they play Black Betty, Lamb Lamb, whoa, Lamb Lamb, whoa. I mean, I love that song. And like, it's something about it. Yeah, it sets the tone for everything for just that part. The soundtrack is on point. Like, Betty's whooping your ass. You can't touch this. It's just, oh, it's so much brilliance. I wouldn't have thought
he beats you.
That. Yeah, it's great. I'm sorry, I can't say much more because it's just all those scenes. All those scenes damn near make that movie. Well, everything makes that movie, but definitely the soundtrack period is awesome. I love it.
It is good. Clayton, what are you thinking?
Man, the new stuff that they put in there was fantastic. It's like a time capsule for the time. I think that the boombox guy had the perfect song list because all of those songs are songs that withstand the test of time, right? Sir Mix-a-Lot, right? I like big, like later on that even gets brought up. It's like, beware his song about big butts. He beats you up to them. So, I mean, like that, but also keeping like some of that old school kind of warbly, like 1970s style, like kung fu movie, like all of that works so perfectly. And it blends so well because there are times where you straight out of the old 1970s and then you hear and then like all of a sudden you're like boom, and then you're into the car stealing music, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then and that's like the perfect transition. And just you said it, his name was I don't even Folk?
Robert Folk, yeah.
Tim Folk?
Robert Folk. Robert, yeah.
That guy is the unsung hero of this movie. Like everybody knows about all the characters and like so many of the different people who have like helped with this movie, but that guy, like, he deserves an award for what he's done with this because it is incredibly hard to make a soundtrack that sounds nothing like what is there that blends perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
yeah, absolutely.
I'm about it.
Yeah. What about you, Fable? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I can't add much more to that. I think soundtrack is okay. And when the boombox guy comes out, yep, I agree. The music he plays is so good.
It slaps.
The Can't Touch This. I particularly like that scene because the editing kind of goes with the song. It's like almost a music video. There was a part where he like turns around and the music cut, like the way the song went, it went with like him turning around and grabbing something, and it was just good. So yeah, no, I agree with Jelani. Really, the soundtrack, the score is whatever, but the soundtrack is great.
Since Clayton said that Robert Folk should have won an award for this, I had to look up what won Best Score that year for the Academy Awards. It was Frida. So I can't believe that this lost to Frida.
Oh, Frida.
Wasn't even nominated, man.
The one boob chick lost to the one eyebrow chick.
Right. And it was the year that Best Song, original song, went to Eminem for Lose Yourself. So
Spaghetti.
I like the damn Taco Bell part too, right? Like Taco Bell product placement from Taco Bell in Chorito, nacho burrito. Like I was sitting there, and this is how I am. Every time I watch this movie, I go, man, I want some Taco Bell now. Man, this is the best Taco Bell fucking ad since Demolition Man, dude. Let's do it. Speaking of best since Demolition Man, Steph, what do you think about the music in the film?
I gotta agree with you, gentlemen. I think like Clayton and Fable were saying, it's almost like a soundtrack, but it's perfect in the aspect that it blends well. Like when it needs to be like the old 70s kung fu style, it is. But when it hops to like the the early 2000s, like upbeat techno fight music, it doesn't take you out of it. So I think it's a great amalgamation of like classic kung fu and Matrix techno, but it's beautiful.
Hell yeah, man. You wouldn't steal a car, would you? Brooks, speaking of stealing cars, what do you think about the music in the film?
I thought it was fine for the most part. Like it didn't stand out to me too much, but I did like the montage songs though, and I like that, the fact that they threw in like Baby's Got Back and You Can't Touch This, the songs that would have been dated even when this movie was made. Like, it's so appropriate, just like this. Let's just take this random, like, pop song from back in the day and throw it in here and just have this dude, like, that be his jam. Like, that's his thing. He does is like he plays this song when he beats people up. It's it's a soundtrack that fits the movie, just in its absurdity.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are the pop culture philosophers, and no matter what movie we got under the microscope, we always have to dive in. We got to dig in. You dig? You know what I'm saying? So it's time to talk about what the thematic relevance of this film is. What is the message? What is the meaning? What is this movie speaking to you? Jelani, kick us off.
Oh, man. I got to dig for this one. But it's basically... If you're the chosen one, you accept your gifts and become the person that you're supposed to be. It's a typical hero's journey kind of situation with this film. Guy's family gets killed when he's a baby. He's awesome as a baby. He goes and fights and fights his entire life because basically everyone wants to kill him. And becomes, gets trained and becomes the man he's supposed to be, and fights the French aliens. And it's so much cheese. I love this movie. Like, I can't. Like, if you notice, I have laughed like the majority of this because thinking about it and like watching it over again and trying. And I knew you were going to ask this because you ask it every time.
Yeah.
But like, I was going through the movie, trying to think of a theme for this, and technically, it's just the chosen one. If you're going through the typical hero's journey, you must go through these things. The only thing he didn't do was go through water. Oh yes, he did. Hero's journey always goes through water. They did fall. We're in water. We are wet.
Well.
It's like guy with an iron claw. So yeah, this is the typical hero's journey. He did everything. They did everything.
Yeah, Campbellian as fuck, right? Yeah, for real, man. 100%.
That's it.
The hero with 1,000 faces, and one of them is Steve Oedekerk, man.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Who knew?
What about you, Clayton? What's this movie speaking to you?
Man, this movie is all about seeing something mundane or something that you see every day, something you're very used to, right? And taking that and seeing it in a new light. That's what this whole movie is about. It's about deconstructing those things that you love and making something brand new to present to the world. And a hero's journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with
right
Jelani on that one. But
yeah. Right on the nose about like deconstructing something and introduce, like, how many people were introduced to Hong Kong cinema because of this movie? How many people were able to go in and watch those movies and have just as much fun as Steve Oedekerk obviously did when he watched those movies, right? Like, somebody mentioned it on the panel, and it's been so chaotic and fun tonight. I don't remember who said it, but they were like, you could tell that there's love in this movie for this genre. I think Fable may have said that, right? But somebody said that, right? And that's right on hitting the nail on the head. 100%. Fable, what about you? What's this movie speaking to you? What's it telling your soul?
Never give up. Never give up, If somebody kills your family as an infant, you train your entire life. Your entire life, you dedicate everything getting that revenge, and you know, you may not succeed the first or the second time as our hero. You know, he got his ass whooped a couple times, but you know, you learn how to pluck sharp pyramids off of people's chests, and his hands got fucked up a couple times, but he still tried. And
She
he
put
succeeded.
fucking lemon juice and salt and shit on her. How about now?
You think that's hot? I'll show you hot.
So yeah, never give up, guys. Never give up.
Hell yeah. What about you, Link? What are you thinking?
I think you guys all make excellent points. At the end of the day, I think it's just gigantic moronic splendor. But no, I tie into what Fable said, never give up. I think, and Clayton, the deconstructing, I feel like, you know, this was an ambitious film in itself. Like, this could have easily been like a hack idea and been a complete failure, but it works, you know, because this guy had a passion and a vision and he followed it through. So like Fable said, never give up.
Hell yeah. Never give up. That's in story and it's a meta. Like, it's metatextual as well, right? Yeah. I like that. That's really fucking good. What about you, Brooks? What you got? What's this movie speaking to you?
I think this movie is kind of like about forging your own path, you know? Like, even if you like get your ass kicked as a baby and get left in a fire and like your parents die and like you spend your whole life getting like attacked by random dudes and then you finally find the dude to take revenge on and he kicks your ass. It's like, you just gotta roll. You gotta keep going. You gotta power through it, you know? Like, you wanna be that guy, you can't just like count on your chosen one powers, your magic tongue face.
We just got to keep our heads down and plow through, right?
Yeah, you gotta train. You gotta get in that hyperbaric time chamber like Goku and like, you know, level up. You gotta reach the next level. You gotta get over 9,000. You know.
I think we can all agree that this is the best live action Dragon Ball Z movie of all time.
Agreed. Yes, absolutely.
There's another like weird random thing is the squirrel. Like, when he just picks up the squirrel and then random later in the movie, like he just pulls it out, like it was just there to take a hit for him.
Yeah,
because he was raised by
somehow survives.
He was raised by little wood rodents, right?
Yeah.
That's what they say, right? That's why the gophers and the squirrels listen to him and shit.
Put peanuts in a handprint.
that's a lot of nuts.
That's a lot of nuts. Yes. God damn.
Dude.
Jesus.
Brooks literally said, if you get kicked as a baby, hilarious.
I'll believe you. I don't know what you said, but I'll believe you. All right.
Fair. Yeah, no. When Brooks said, when you get your ass kicked as a baby, like moving forward, like forging your own path and everything. Like,
What you said.
dude, it's like, you know, I got my ass kicked as a baby all the time. I was fighting other babies, like
when your
elbow
parents spank you, you have to get up and kick their ass. Like, you can't fucking do that to me.
yeah, dude.
So
You gotta buck up.
So to me, this movie is speaking about the power of movies, right? This is, I agree with what everybody said here. Hero's journey, never give up, keep pushing, deconstructing something that you love to make something new for a new audience. To me, it's about the love of movies, whether they're good or bad, and that it's okay to love bad movies. There are plenty of bad movies here that we love. We'll like talk about a masterpiece in cinema. We'll all be five, you digs. The next week, we'll talk about some bullshit, and we'll like a few of us will give it five, you digs. You know, where I'll be like, this is a goddamn perfect movie. Super Mario Brothers from 1991 or whatever the fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. There's something about it. There's something about cheesy bad movies when you're together with your crew, with your homies, you're watching it, you're talking like Brooks said earlier. This is something that I wish we could have done when we were like back in the day, watching movies together, making jokes, cutting up. And it's just, as silly as it is, the movie never feels like it's making fun of Hong Kong cinema. it's like celebrating it through the lens of making fun of cheesy, imperfect movies. And to be honest, the cheesy, imperfect movies are some of the best movies out there because they're always made with passion. They're usually made with hunger. They're usually made by people who know what they're talking about, right? This dude did not come out trying to make Citizen Kane or The Godfather or Schindler's List. And he wasn't trying to and he wasn't trying to make something mid or dumb and lame like Body of Lies or some shit like that or Eagle Eye or Dreamcatcher or any other bullshit movie that you watch, you forget about, you move on, you never talk about it again. We're still talking about this movie because it does have a legacy. It respects what it's parodying, and it parodies it exceptionally well with love. And to me, this is about somebody who loves Hong Kong movies and wanted to share that love with an audience in a way that they would get, right? Like, as much as I love, say, Invincible Pole Fighter, eight diagram pole fighter, whatever, right? Whatever that movie's called with Gordon Liu. Fucking amazing movie. It is ridiculous, but it's fucking fun. And it's definitely something to experience with your homies when these monks come in and just rip the fucking teeth out of all these fucking dudes. If you guys have never seen 8 Diagram Pole Fighter, I think that's the one. That movie, is that the one, Fable? That movie is the shit, dude. Is that the one where like Gordon Liu's like, oh, dude, that's so
everybody's talking about Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee, and with all, you know, with that's, of course we're gonna talk about them, but Gordon Liu, man, Gordon Liu.
I'm right there with you, bro. Like you said, awesome. I get it. Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Jet Li, Donnie Yen. All those dudes are amazing in what they're in, right? But man, Gordon Liu is the fucking shit. Like 36 Chamber, like that, like that shit is awesome like movie. That's my goddamn woo. Let's fucking do it. Gordon Liu is my fucking jam, man. Anyway, but that's what it is. It's about celebrating film. And sometimes we celebrate it by pointing out what's wrong with it and having fun with it and not taking ourselves too fucking seriously. So that to me is, I can encapsulate everything I just said with that. Don't take yourself too fucking seriously. You know what I'm saying? Like, what does an Academy Award even fucking mean? Did we need Oppenheimer to know that Christopher Nolan was a great fucking director? Did we need Training Day to know that Denzel was a great fucking actor? Hell no. We already knew this shit. Let's just enjoy the cinema we love. Whether it's bad, good, or ugly, it all is worth it, right? You know what I'm saying? So now it's time to rate the film. Jelani, set us off out of 5 possible you digs. You out there in the chat, what do you think about Kung Pow, Enter the Fist? Jelani, what do you think?
Dude, oh my God. I mean, I don't even know why you're asking me this question because it's clearly a 5. It's 5.
Well, you base your ratings on rewatchability.
And I watch it. Yep, I've watched this 10 times. It is quotable. It's funny. It makes no sense, and that I should enjoy this, and I totally enjoy it. It's a pop-on movie. Like if you're cleaning your house, you're doing something fun, and you want to hang out with people and show them like a cool film. This is it. This is the film. I've enjoyed talking about it because talking about it, and thank you, Clay, for this. I appreciate you for this. But talking about it and feeling this good about a film, just it brings me joy because there was Cats. Cats did exist.
And, that feels so long ago. That was a month ago, but it feels like a long journey, bro. Back.
Feels like that was so painful. I had to watch it again because I kept turning it off, and I was like, I can't objectively like hate on this film any more than I have. But this, man, shit, I might watch this now.
Yeah,
I may watch that again. It's that good. So definitely 5 all around, man.
All right, we got perfect score from Jelani, and so far from the chat as well. What about you, Clayton? Where are you sitting?
Man, with as much as this movie has influenced so much of my life throughout the years, how many times a day I quote just countless numbers of lines. Like I got a 5. It's a 5. I'd give it a 5.69 if I could.
You can.
But
You can.
5 you digs for me.
We'll allow
5.69. Let's go, baby.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice. I really appreciate you introducing me to this movie, and it's just it's
man.
so much fun, and this has been a really super fun movie night, man. 100%.
It's
Fable.
my pleasure. I am so thankful.
Hell yeah. Fable, what about you? What are you thinking?
Well, these movies are really tough to do. For me to kind of enjoy sometimes, because if the joke doesn't land, the movie's just terrible and it's just lame and it's stupid and it's fucking moronic. It's the moronic without the splendor, right?
You're describing not another teen movie, for instance.
But I'm gonna give this one. I'm gonna give it a 4 because in its own lane and its own genre, there are movies that I feel are more classic than this, like Airplane or The Naked Gun or Spaceballs. I think these movies are in that lane. You know what I mean? Are more of my favorite than this. But this is super unique in the sense that it's trying to insert itself into an old kung fu movie, which I don't think anybody's tried to attempt before or after. So yeah, I'll give this a solid 4. This is funny, man. And if you like kung fu movies, then they bump it up to a 4.5 because you're gonna get a lot of the jokes more.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, a 4 from Fable. What about you, Steph? What are you thinking?
Well, based on the conversation we've had, I'll give this movie a 5. But on its own, I'll give this movie a 5. I love the ambition, for it to come out in 2002, and it was very ahead of its time. And as many of us have stated earlier, like the everything that should work against it kind of works for it. Like the CGI. I know you fellas have said it, but I think it works even better now than it did in 2002, especially with it being, it almost evokes like a nostalgic feel, from like the PS2 era. So, it's a love letter to the genre, but at the same time, it's like forging its own identity. So, I respect that. It's a, 5.
I feel you there, especially with the CG almost being nostalgic now. Like, every time I watch that opening scene, I think of that damn dancing baby from back in the day. I put my hands upon your hip. When you dip, we dip, we dip. All that shit. Like, it's like that dancing fucking baby. This is what it looks like. And it just cracks me the fuck up. The cow is too much in the fucking stark ass daylight for me, though, personally. But you know what? I'll forgive it, dude. It's not near as bad as fucking She-Hulk. Speaking of not near as bad as She-Hulk, Brooks, what are you thinking about what you want to rate this movie?
Like, I'm surprised about that. I'm giving this movie a 5, to be honest. But like, this movie, for how stupid it is, it's ridiculous how good it is. Like it's so dumb, but at the same time, it works. Its stupidity works in its favor. Like, and that's a difficult thing to pull off. Because like stupid movies, it always ends up like you always get jokes that are like But this movie made me laugh like so many times, man. It felt to me kind of like like an old Mel Brooks movie, like Spaceballs or Robin Hood Men in Tights, where it's just the absurdity, like you just get lost in the absurdity and you don't care, that nothing makes sense, because all that matters is that you're getting the laughs. And like, boy, what a fun movie to watch. Like, I really did. I got a kick out of this rewatch. I'm glad I got to see this one again, because it's one I hadn't thought about in so long. Mm-hmm. But when like you mentioned it, I remember like, oh yeah, and I remembered like liking it, but I wasn't sure if I was going to still have that the same kind of enthusiasm on the rewatch, but like I think I'd like even more this time.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. It's so dumb, but there's so many other movies that are this dumb, but they don't land and they don't hold water, right? I can't rewatch any of the Scary Movie movies. I can't rewatch Not Another Teen Movie. I can't rewatch 301 or whatever the fuck that was. You can't like go back some of those things. They're very dated. They're just crude joke after crude joke. It doesn't work. This movie manages to work, and it works because it's got a respect for what it's aping, right? Like it knows what it's doing. And unlike Scary Movie, right? Which Scary Movie, outside of the classic ones, you know, like the Mel Brooks films or the Leslie Nielsen stuff, right? Like those are some of the most successful parody films. But like honestly, like what bits do we remember from those, right? You know, like Scary Movie, I remember when it was like the dude who had never had sex or whatever, and he like fucking came a geyser and like threw her up against the wall. I remember them smoking, them making the fish tank into a gravity bong or some shit like that, right? But like, there's so many in this one. So many that like every time like we bring up one that we haven't discussed yet, we all just start laughing, and Jelani and Clayton just start fucking doing the whole movie and doing the whole scene, and it works, and it's perfect because of that. Like the ventriloquist bit, bro.
Oh god,
like what the fuck, dude? Like it's
Yeah.
Oh, get the fuck out of here, Verno. That's why you're always going to be the second best movie review show here on YouTube.
Number one.
They're remaking Scary Movie. I just hope you know. So I'm going to give it a 5 as well, because we talk about movies based on rewatchability. I like to talk about movies based on what they're trying to do. This movie was trying to honor what came before in a fun, dumb, absurd way. And some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. You know what I'm saying? But it works. The whole point of this movie is to make you fucking laugh. And I cannot think of another movie I'd like to watch in person with everybody here on the panel. Like if the 6 of us were just fucking getting high, having a couple beers, watching this movie, it would be like the best night we've ever fucking had, except for like nights where we get laid. But aside from that, you know, but it's absolutely a fun movie. So I'm going to give it a 5. So that's a perfect score from everybody except for Fable, Fable's a critic. He's on Letterboxd. He's got to keep it real. He gave it a 4. But
well, you know what Clayton said about this movie, how every line and the influence. I do this with Spaceballs. Like Spaceballs is my jam when it comes to that. I'm like, you know, raspberry.
I'm surrounded by
assholes.
You
know what I mean? Or I hate
Lone Star.
Shit like that. Lone Star. You know. So
why haven't we done a Mel Brooks movie?
We did a whole podcast that we didn't air.
Yeah, we did a whole podcast that's unaired. Yeah, we did do that. But anyway. Somebody didn't have time to edit it. Who would that be? Me. It's me. But a 5 from everybody except for Fable, who gave it a 4. But Clayton gave it a 5.69, which means when I tally up, and I'm gonna use the help of the chat out here. I'm gonna take all those 5s. We're gonna bring it all together to a PCP average.
I'll raise it up. 4.31.
We can't do that here. What do you think? You think this is Dylan's worst show? You can't do that. You can do a 4.3169, but let's just say it's a PCP average of a 5.000000000169. How about that?
Yeah.
Sound good? Slightly over 5, because all this movie's trying to do is make you laugh, and that's exactly what it did. It's trying to make you laugh, and it's trying to make you laugh at the ridiculousness of the seriousness of cinema. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And to what you guys were saying earlier, that I kind of like thought about, like the reason why the Mel Brooks movies hold up, and the reason why stuff like this holds up when compared to like the Scary Movie or whatever, Not Another Teen Movie stuff. It's like those use so much of pop culture at the time. Right. Whereas this, like, it had the one scene with the cow, and then pretty much everything else was, you know, just good. It was presented as, this is funny on its own. You don't have to have context. And I think that's what makes it hold up so well.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, even in 2002, you could know that Matrix bit was going to be one of those movies.
It was everywhere.
That was
it's about every movie had that.
Well, not just back then, but not just back then, but that stands the test of time. The Matrix is like the Star Wars of our generation, in my opinion. That's the movie that people our age, we remember where we were when we watched Matrix. We remember the hype around that. We remember everybody talking about that. People all the time that were like say late teens when Star Wars came out and they talk about, oh, it was a big deal. Everybody kept talking about, we kept going back and seeing it. That's what I did with Matrix.
Yep.
I watched Matrix over and over. Any of my friends that didn't see it, I brought him in there. I remember taking Abe, our buddy Abe. You remember Abe?
Mhm.
I remember taking Abe
my
to see
first
The
friend.
Matrix. Halfway through the fucking speech of Morpheus, like when he's sitting there with the chair, and he goes, "What is the Matrix? The Matrix is all around you." I remember Abe going, "What the fuck does that mean?" Like it's such a big deal. It's like one of those watershed moments. So even back then, you knew, right? So even though it is dated, it actually does stand the test of time, because like when you parody, like, I don't know, like the end of Chariots of Fire, you have the music, right? A lot of us get that. We know that language, and the Matrix actually transcends even that. It's like I make him an offer he can't refuse. It's like that line. It's like Godfather level, the Matrix, like that scene in particular. So it actually does hold up today. And especially with those nostalgic ass bad CG effects that they're still trying to pass over at Disney, but we ain't gonna fucking let you, brothers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's crazy because you got the dancing heads and cats, right? They can't match the fucking faces with the CGI bodies, but here we got this guy Oedekerk. He's backing his face with
You're
with
right.
some 1970s kung fu footage, and it looks pretty damn okay.
How is this better than the CG of Cats, man? But it is.
It is. The Uncanny Valley doesn't exist in this movie.
Verno, man, stop digging that hole, man. I don't think you're going to convince any of us here, man.
Scary movie's terrible, dog. Slow that down, dude. All the scary movies.
Coming soon to Blood Splatter Chatter, scary movie franchise review.
Yeah.
God. Those are
Ain't
awful
nobody
movies.
going to be on that.
Nobody.
Stu will show up, but
Yeah.
Steph will be there. I would actually like to revisit those movies. Maybe they're better than we remember, man. We're just having fun.
It'll be light jazz. They'll put light jazz in it.
Oh, man, imagine there was a jazz scene in this movie. Jelaine would be like, I fucking hate this movie.
Yeah, I hate the movie.
There's a kid, and it's got jazz.
yeah.
A kid with a saxophone just randomly pops out.
Bruh, you get a kid with playing saxophone jazz. Jelani's like fucking so mad. He's going to have a fucking heart attack, dude. He's about to fucking pop a blood vessel, man.
And it's short round.
Man.
Be like that time he tried to fucking drink a gallon of milk and eat a pack of Oreos at the same time.
Hey,
Remember
it
that?
almost worked. It was
No,
good
it
fun.
didn't. It didn't almost
Oh,
work. It was like it was not. It did not work. It like did only the only thing it did was not work, bro. You showed up mad at me because you had a bloodshot eye because you were up shitting and puking all night, man.
Yeah. Well,
How? In what way did that work?
it worked?
All a part of his plan.
That's right. That is
I wanted to
absolutely
be up all night shitting and puking my guts up.
That's
man.
right. As God
All right.
intended.
Thus concludes our movie review of Kung Pow Enter the Fist, but do not fret because we will be back next week for the start of Crew's Choice. So every year in May and June, we allow the crew to pick the movie. And I'm always first, even though I pick all the other movies we do usually, but I get to go first because it's my birthday week, y'all. Next week, we'll be in the midst of Robbie Week. And to celebrate Robbie Week, and for my Crew's Choice, because this year we have to pick Tom Cruise movies, I could have picked a good one, but I wanted to have some fun. So next week, enjoy Robbie Week here on PCP Movie Night as we talk about Days of Thunder.
Wow.
The best racing movie I can think of. Maybe. I mean, maybe we'll see. But before
Two
that,
words,
you can
Talladega
join...
Nights.
Yeah.
Oh man, I think this movie's okay. That's I
Your
can't make that
first, your
statement. I
last.
had not seen this movie since I was a kid, but I loved it when I was a kid. But celebrate Robbie Week, Days of Thunder to kick off Crew's Choice next week. But on Saturday, I'll be over at Dylan's Horror Show to celebrate Robbie Week with Nightmare Sisters. That's right. One of the best movies of all time, starring Michelle Bayer, Brinky Stevens, and my goddess, Linnea Quigley. Nightmare Sisters, the best movie you have never seen for Robbie Week. So what a 1-2 punch. Nightmare Sisters, Days of Thunder. Whew. We were talking about a movie that's intentionally bad tonight. These are movies that were not intentionally bad. We'll just end it there. But join us for that next week. Jelani, thank you so much for being here. What you got going on, man?
Well, yeah, thanks for having me. Thank you, Clayton, for suggesting this movie and bringing it up. I have to keep thanking you, dude, because God, I love this film. This is just one of those damn gems that you forget about it until it pops up into your brain again. Yeah, the last time I saw this was probably 2 years ago, and now I'm just like, oh yeah, I missed that all that time. That was my
What the fuck was that?
That's Chewbacca on my phone. But yeah, Brooks and I do this thing, and I talk about it every week. It's Go Figure Reviews. We got a Stranger Things, Master of the Universe 2-pack, the Demogorgon, and the Skeletor. It's a standard Skeletor, but he's really cool. He's repainted, very nice, but he's still the original freaking Skeletor. But that Demogorgon is fire. Check out that review. The packaging's pretty cool too. I want to show that. It's upside down. I can't. Yeah, it's upside down for the upside down. It's very nice. I love the packaging.
It's like the McDLT almost, right? It keeps the Skeletor cold and it keeps the Demogorgon hot.
Yeah, yeah, dude.
Sick, dude.
Yeah, these are at your local Target. Check them out. Also, we did our final 2-pack for Wolverine, the 50th anniversary. 2-packs. We did the so far I think our favorite, which was the Ninja Wolverine and Lady Mandarin. I keep saying Lady Deathstroke. And that one's pretty good. I don't know.
Did you send me a thumbnail for that? Because I don't think I
got it. I gave you both, but it's all good.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll show it off. Who cares? It's right here. That's it too. Good 2-pack, man. It's Psylocke is probably Brooks. You like this set, right?
Yeah, I think I gave it 5 figure points. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Spoil it for everybody.
Spoiling the goddamn video, man.
Yeah, spoil it, man. But good stuff.
That's when Jim Lee was like, "Yeah, Psylocke's cool, but you know what makes Psylocke cooler? Let's make her Elektra." Right?
Yeah. But she is awesome. She's got new effects and everything, and that face, man. Yeah, she can get it. Not the figure.
What? I was about to be like, that figure looks pretty fucking evil, man, and gross.
Yeah.
All right.
Like this kind of stuff. Good times, man. Check us out.
I got those 3 issues, man. I got to top down those one day, man. Like 100% top down, bottoms up on some Jim Lee reconfiguring Psylocke as Elektra. Basically what happened, and he's like, "Yeah, I want to do Carrie Kelly, Jubilee. Yeah, let's just do that, right?" You can tell Jim Lee loves some Frank Miller, and that's why I love Jim Lee. All right, what about you, Clayton? I appreciate you so much for being here, man. It's been a pleasure. I love you so much. Absolutely. Final thoughts, my man.
Man, I just super appreciate you guys allowing me to come on and talk about this movie that has meant so much to me through so many different friendships and highlights and lowlights in my life. It's always been one consistent thing. I can always throw on Kung Pow. I can always have a laugh, no matter how depressed I am, no matter how upset I am, what's going on in the world. Like, this is one of those movies that you just have to enjoy, whether you like it or not. Like you come to it, you hit it, and you go, you know what? I'm glad that I did that. Even at the time that I put it on, I wasn't really that excited. And I think that might be the biggest takeaway for me, is like, this movie is just kind of, I don't know if ubiquitous is the word for it, but it's kind of the thing that's always there. It's a constant.
That would be ubiquitous.
I am, yeah.
That's the exact definition.
Oh, okay. Cool. Thank you, Jelani, because I wasn't sure. I was like, I don't know. That word sounds right. Ish.
I'm not a dictionary.
I don't know, man. What do I look like? A spell check to you? But
I think now what needs to happen is that we need to do a dub of Kung Pow.
Oh, well, actually, I did a very short like dub of a Kung Pow thing that explained the reason why I had like stitches on my face, because I got really tired of explaining it to someone. So I like took the part where Wimp Lo gets like the crap kicked out of him, and replaced like Chosen One with a door and Wind Blow with my face, and that pretty much is how that happened that day.
Yeah. Well, we need to see you share that in the PCP Army then, Clayton. Is what we need to
Someday,
see.
yeah, soon. I'll put a link to it somewhere.
Yeah, dig it up, man. Dig it up. Let's do it. Fable, it's always a pleasure to have you here. What you got coming up, brother?
Come join us this Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, for Blame Fable and His Amazing Friends with Nick and Stu. This week, I'm going to have quite a few guests on. I'm going to have Paul and the 619 join us. I'm going to have Marcus Circumstances join us. And I'm also having the first time ever on the show, John Castle, Spillio, is going to be joining us for the first time. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
That's so cool.
Yeah, come hang out with us. It's just I'm trying to make it a place where we could just kick our feet up on a Friday night because the week has been crazy. So yeah, if you're into that kind of energy, come chill with the Bad Batch, man.
Hell yeah. We'll have a Spillio here on the channel in a couple weeks, man. It's gonna be fun. For Brooks's cruise choice pick, Risky Business.
Nice. Oh yeah.
Yeah. The only guy who chose to be here by choice. Everybody else was kind of forced into it. I was like, I need people for Risky Business right now. Stat. Let's do it. Everybody go check out that show on Friday, man. That's going to be a fucking baller one, man. Marcus and John are like two of my favorite people in this community.
Me too,
so that's
man.
going to be super fun.
Me too. Oh yeah.
Steph, thank you so much. I love you. What you got coming up?
Okay. Every Wednesday, her brother Stu and I do a little show called Supreme Clientele. We're going to be covering the rest of Remender's Cat Run, and we've got 3 weekly issues we usually cover. I can only remember one of them, so forgive me. It's Ultimate Spider-Man, so that'll be cool. But Wednesdays, 9:30, Dr. Doom's Fan Club on YouTube. Come check us out.
Hell yeah. Everybody go check them out. If there is anybody out there who is a blue wrench in the chat, please throw out a link to Go Figure Reviews, to One Collection Down, and to Dr. Doom's Fan Club, where you can find Supreme Clientele. Brooks, avatar of wisdom you are here in the PCP Excitable crew. Final thoughts.
Well, there is one thing that this movie pointed out that I think, as someone who was in the know, I thought it was brave of them to point out that all cows are actually kung fu masters, and they will kick your ass. So, you should never feel bad about having your hamburger because, if that cow could have kicked your ass, it would have.
Yeah, no shit. Eat more chicken or we'll kick your ass, right? That's what they're trying to fucking say. Yeah, fuck Chick-fil-A, go eat a hamburger. How about that? That sounds good, right? Though Chick-fil-A got some good ass nuggets, man. I'm just gonna say they got some good ass fucking nuggets, man.
Sorry,
because they're fucking, they're just marinated in hate. They're marinated in hate and misguided intentions. But goddamn, that's the best things in life. Anyway, join us next week as Robbie Week is continuing for Days of Thunder. But before that, we officially kick off Robbie Week over at Dylan's Horror Show with Nightmare Sisters. Trust me, that movie will change your life. Watch Nightmare Sisters and come hang out with us and the crew on Saturday night. Join us for Days of Thunder. That movie, will it change your life? No. But it's my birthday week, so everybody has to be here. So that's what we're doing. Station, we love you. And my final thought is, my nipples look like milk duds. What the fuck? It's a little weird, don't you think? I mean, aren't there like bones and organs and shit or something?